So breaking news. Apparently, Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria will not happen because Islam Makhachev's team has denied the contract process. They've denied the fight. They do not want to fight Ilia next, and it is because Islam believes that Ilia has more to prove and needs to add more to his claim toward the lightweight belt. He needs to see Ilia do something at lightweight before he can fight for the belt. Um, and at first glance, it makes sense. I do see um, validity to the belief that Ilia needs to do more before he can fight Islam for the lightweight belt. Ilia only defended the title once and then decided to move weight classes and challenge Islam. And while I do, again, I see the validity in that a lot of other fighters would need another title defense or at least two more other title defenses before they could move to another weight class and challenge directly for the belt at that new weight class. I get that. Um, what kind of like a counter argument that I can then bring forth to that belief is that yeah, Ilia defended the title once, but you got to look at who he defended the title against and in what manner he defended the title. You know, also you got to think about how he won the title in the first place. He won the title against one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time in Alexander Volkanovski, and won it knocking Alexander Volkanovski out cold. He then went on to defend the title against Max Holloway, another UFC all-time great, and defended the title in a manner or in a method that has never been fully executed against Max Holloway in all the years that he's fought. In other words, I mean that Ilia knocked Max Holloway out and was the first man to ever do it in Max Holloway's long and illustrious and grandiose career. Ilia was the first to do that. So, yes, Ilia only defended his title once, and it's very early for him to make a move to another weight class. But I would also argue that him knocking out Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway back to back earns him at least, a deliberation on whether or not he truly deserves a shot against Islam. It at least earns Ilia a, a conversation. It puts Ilia in the conversation with Islam, where many other fighters after defending, the featherweight title once would not be put in any conversation with a champion in another weight class after only defending a title once. But defending the title against Max Holloway by knocking him out, while also having earned the title against Alexander Volkanovski by way of knocking him out too, that's gotta give. That's gotta give that's gotta give something. That's gotta come on. That's a considerable feat. That's a considerable accomplishment. So I see validity in Ilia's claim towards Islam's belt. I also see validity in denying that claim. Now, what also makes Islam's denial of this fight really interesting is that this is also kind of hypocritical of Islam Makhachev. I think this is the first time in a long time, or maybe the first time ever, that Islam has really just denied a fight, And while Islam did set out and make his case for that, and that case is defendable, he has to realize what it also does. So first and foremost, I said it was hypocritical. It's hypocritical because of what Islam said before his fight with Renato Moicano, where he said he'd fight anybody. Even after Islam fought Renato, he said he'd fight anybody. Just make the weight and I'll fight you. That's what Islam said, you know? So it's hypocritical because Islam is denying this fight. And, you know, just before then, he said that he'd fight anybody, you know? He would fight anybody that came up to him. He'd fight. He said he was an anywhere, anytime, anyone type of guy. This is not anyone, anywhere, anytime, denying a fight with Ilia Topuria. The second thing that Islam should have considered is what this does for Ilia, because he has publicly denied a fight with Ilia Topuria, and that gives Ilia Topuria what I would call boogeyman points. That makes Ilia Topuria the boogeyman, the avoided fighter, the fighter that people are scared of. That gives Ilia that credit doing this after being the guy that fights anybody, you know, and publicly denying a fight with one of the most dangerous and scary and, you know, notorious fighters of the current UFC era. So what Islam should have realized is this is going to make Ilia Topuria the boogeyman, the lightweight boogeyman, you know? We got a boogeyman at middleweight that's always been Khamzat Chimaev. We got a boogeyman at lightweight now. It's Ilia Topuria. And Islam kind of just really just fully made that possible. So, you know, the bottom line here is that Islam made a good case for his denial, and this was expected. Like I've always said, I want Islam to fight Ilia next. That would be, I think, my most anticipated fight right now. That would be the fight that I'd be most excited for out of any other ones. Even John Jones Aspinall. I would much prefer this fight, Islam versus Ilia, over John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Yeah, I would love to see that fight, you know, Ilia versus Islam. But the whole thing is, the bottom line is that I've been saying this again and again. I've said that this fight is most likely not going to happen. There's too many variables when it comes to the creation of this fight. Because you have Ilia on one hand, who's a shooting rocket right now, coming out of the lightweight division, knocking out all-time greats. Coming out of the featherweight division, knocking out all-time greats, right into lightweight, expecting to do the same shit to the top lightweight fighters, just knocking them out one by one. And then you got Islam looking at this and saying, whoa, 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 you got more to prove. You got more to prove before you come up here doing what you're doing. So I kind of felt like this fight was never going to happen to begin with, ever since Islam, you know, way before now, spoke about it. He said he feels Ilia has more to do. So I never really thought that his stance was going to change, and I never really thought this fight was going to really happen. You know, there's been talks about it. You know, I made a video not too long ago about the fact that, you know, it was rumored that, you know, Ilia's camp and Islam's camp were signing documents. That was a whole rumor thing going on. I talked about it. You know, and, you know, every single time I talked about it, I still led with the same thing, which is I'm not sure if this fight is going to happen. It's still up in the air. And now we know it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen until Ilia fights somebody, you know, some top lightweight. So I would like to see Ilia versus Arman. I think I would like to see that fight. I think that fight would be really, really good. Arman is not a pushover on the feet. He is very gifted. I would even call him a world-class striker on the feet. So that fight would be really fun to watch. And I don't know who I would choose in that fight, so I'll make another video on that. But bottom line, this video is mainly about Ilia versus Islam being canceled by way of Islam's denial of the fight or rejection of the contract. And like I said, there's a case to be made for both sides. I see why Ilia needs to prove more, but I also see why Ilia should be considered for this fight. If if I was forced to choose a side, I'd give Ilia the chance. I would give Ilia the chance. It's a blockbuster fight. It's a big what if moment, and Ilia deserves that what if. Ilia deserves that what if. You know, Ilia, I know it's only one title defense, but knocking out Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway back to back deserves, or therefore begs the question: can he do the same shit to Islam Makhachev, who has been ruling the lightweight division for some time now? It's up in the air. Only time will tell. I'm sure we will see Ilia versus Islam soon. We just need to see Ilia fight one lightweight. I would like to see that lightweight be Arman Tsarukyan, but it's only up to the UFC. It's all up to the UFC. We, as the fans, may scream, holler, shout, however, whenever, how loud we want to. It all doesn't matter. It's up to the UFC. No matter what we want, the UFC will be the final decision maker. But overall, you let me know what you think. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn them notifications on because YouTube is fucking with my viewership. Once again, most importantly, turn them notifications on so you can be kept in the loop and immediately be notified about when my next video is out for you to watch. I love you guys. I'll see you all in the next.